Okay, so I've got my guitar amp set up. I'm actually just holding the camera now and I don't have the proper microphone going through it, so hopefully the sound on this thing is okay. I think for this it's going to be fine. So yeah, let's switch over the camera and have a look at what I've got going on with the amps. Right, so here are my amps. They're set up. The microphones aren't really plugged in yet, but they're pretty good to go. So I'm doing something a little bit different on this. This is something that I've been thinking about trying for a little while, and that is, ooh, shaky cam, using both amplifiers at the same time. I'm hoping for this song that should work out pretty well, especially with the DeVille and just like the body that these guitars kind of need, because it is quite a heavy, slower type of track. There needs to be a lot of kind of low end to it. So yeah, so firstly I've got the DeVille set up here. Yeah, these are all, I just kind of played around a little bit before, got him sounding pretty good. I had to get the two levels to complement each other, so not one is overriding the other one. But then with the DeVille pointing straight at the DeVille, we have my Rode condenser microphone. So that little dot right there means that it's facing the sound source, so that's pretty good. It does pick up sound from the back as well, but not as strong, a bit more muffled. So I'm hoping that's going to work out okay, because I have my other amplifier here, my Pro Junior. So for this one, I've got the ribbon microphone put right up next to the speaker. As you can see there, it's pretty close. It should be able to pick up a pretty good sound. So I'm probably going to end up using this channel as maybe like the main sound source for these guitars. But I'm just really interested to see how they both work together. Because yeah, it is something I've been wanting to try. I mean, I plugged in just before and it was sounding okay, so hopefully this should work out pretty well. The idea with the condenser microphone here is obviously it's going to pick up both of the amps, mainly focused on the DeVille right here, but I'm hoping that picking up some sound source from the Fender kind of mixed in a bit more muffled through the end should be okay. And then we've got the ribbon right here to kind of compensate and kind of mix in the actual tone of this amp. So yeah, I haven't plugged in or hooked up the microphone to see how they sound yet. So I think it should be okay. I'm excited to see how it is going to sound. So yeah, let's look into that. Here I have my guitar pedals all set up. So you can see there's a lot of cables going on, which is always the way when you're recording. It's just a part of it. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to use on this song yet, but I'll just quickly run over my chain. So I'm starting off with the wah, and that's going into the Anima fuzz distortion pedal, which is going into the metal muff, which is going into the flat light, which is the phaser, which is then going into the Revere, which is the reverb ambient, and then going into the space echo. So the way that I'm using both amps is I have this little 2-channel splitter. So that's sending one output to each amp. And yeah, I wasn't sure if that was gonna work, but it did work, so that's pretty cool. You can hear maybe in the background, the DeVille has a bit of a crunch to it, so maybe it needs the tubes looked at or something, but look, for this I think it's gonna be fine. So because this is quite a heavy song, I have a feeling that I'm probably gonna layer up a lot of the Anima to kind of get that really body end of it, and then with the highest stuff, use the metal muff to kind of meld those two sounds in together. I might play around with the flat light and see what kind of tone I can get out of it for this song. I haven't really figured out what I want yet. I was feeling maybe like a chorus for an overall vibe for this song might work out pretty well, but I might just play around. Like, I'm probably going to end up using a lot of the detune mode for this one. So yeah, but there's definitely going to be a lot of this guy going on because it is quite a slow, drony song. It's going to need that ambience kind of filled out, which the condenser microphone should pick up pretty well. And as always, there's going to be quite a bit of the space echo involved too. I might play around with the wah, see how that kind of works. But yeah, look, I mean, as I said, I don't have a massive pedal board collection, but this kind of gives me a pretty good starting point to achieve the sorts of sounds that I want. And then once everything's recorded and brought into Ableton, I can kind of add as much as I like. But yeah, it's kind of good to start with a nice clean kind of sound. So generally I'll probably do a couple of layers of just clean distorted guitars, and then I'll layer those ones up with more of the effects onto it. So I want to try and steer away from using too many VSTs and kind of get the original sound source sounding good. The reason for that is obviously VSTs use so much of your computer RAM, and when you're coming to mixing, that can get a bit hard to work with. So yeah, the less VSTs kind of the better, I'm starting to realize. So yeah, that kind of does it for that. And the next thing that I'm going to do to compensate for the loudness of these two amps, I'm going to pretty much put my couch around it and create a bit of a makeshift isolation booth. So I'm going to do that now, and when that's finished, we'll have a look and see how that sounds. So yeah. Okay, here we go. Here is my super ghetto sketchy isolation booth. So this is just my couch, kind of all folded up and pulled apart. I put a doona over the top just to blanket it a little bit more. I've got some other pillows around here to kind of hopefully drown the sound out a little bit. Oh, there's some speaker that I stood on. Over here, as you can see, yeah, it's super sketchy. The only problem is now I can't really get in there, so hopefully it sounds good. I'm not totally precious as much as I probably should be with this kind of stuff, as long as I've got a signal coming through that I can work with, and I can play around with the pedals, and I got the tone set up before I put it all there, so I think we should be okay. I've also got just some other ones here on the door, so hopefully that'll kind of block out a bit more sound coming through. Yeah, there we go. So let's see how this one turns out.